Fraction coherence begins with the understanding of unit fractions. And in this section, we will study the meaning of unit fractions, how we build fractions from unit fractions, we will compare unit fractions, and we will also represent fractions. In first and second grade, fractions will be introduced informally through drawings, where students will represent halves, thirds, and fourths. They will also be recognizing that these are partitions or part of a whole. In third grade, the formal instruction for fractions begins, where students learn that unit fractions have a numerator of 1. A unit fraction is one part of a whole that has been partitioned into equal-sized parts. So, for 1/4, we have partitioned the whole into 4 equal-sized parts. And then students shade one of those 4 parts. Students will also learn to represent this on a number line. They will draw a number line with points indicated 0 and 1. They will then split the difference into 4 equal parts, the intervals between 0 and 1 that make up the fractions. And then they will label what 1/4 of the distance from 0 is towards 1. Starting with unit fractions allows students to build on what they already know about whole numbers. So just as whole numbers are built from the number 1, unit fractions build other fractions. For example, in the previous diagram you saw that 3 was made up of 3 ones. Students carry that knowledge to build fractions, where these unit fractions of 1/4 will build to make 3/4. This can also be represented on a number line in third grade. And in fourth grade, it is explicitly taught as the addition or the sum of unit fractions that make your final fraction. In the same fashion, 7/4 is a distance of 7/4 from 0. Students begin to compare unit fractions in third grade. In comparisons like the one shown, students can reason that 1 out of 2, or a half, gives you a larger piece of a whole than if you were to cut the piece into 3 equal parts. The 1/3 would then give you a smaller piece. There are 2 areas in which students must be very careful when comparing unit fractions. The first one is shown here, where it appears that 1/3 might be larger than 1/2. This is because the student has not drawn both pictures to scale. When comparing unit fractions, the same whole must be drawn twice to compare accurately. When you can see that both representations of the same amount of whole are made, it is clear to see that 1/2 is a much larger area than 1/3. Another common mistake is for students to take reasoning such as 3 is greater than 2 to reason that 1/3 is greater than 1/2 because the denominator 3 is bigger than the denominator 2. In this situation, they're not understanding the meaning of the partitions. To explain the meaning to students, show what it is like to share an item among different partitions. So for example here, you can see that a toy shared between Joey and Bob would give a much greater amount of time playing with the toy than if it were to have to be shared with Joey, Bob, and Fred.